everybody, it's Romania Black, and yeah, we're on episode 9 of season 6 of My Hero Academia. Nothing bad's gonna happen, right? I'm not gonna lie. I know what the title of this episode is, and I'm like, oh, okay. I read the manga, of course, and so I haven't read the manga for this in a very long time. And so there's been parts of season 6 that I've been like looking forward to. And judging by the title of this episode, this might be it. Now, the question is going to be, are they actually going to give us the moments that I'm thinking of? Or is it going to be a big tease? And then the next episode is going to be the moments that I'm thinking of. I don't know. But yeah, but anyway, so Deku and Bakugo have been told to sit on the sidelines, but Aizawa was targeted by Shigaraki, and Deku and them were not sitting down and letting that happen. And so Deku's going all out. He's like, no, I love Aizawa. He's our teacher. He's our mentor. You're not going to hurt him. And he knows what Shigaraki's capable of. And meanwhile, Endeavor's trying to fight Shigaraki, and it's not working. And the city's about to be evacuated because Gigantimachia is headed towards Shigaraki, wherever that may lead. And then the League of Villains is back. Everything's crazy. Momo and them have apparently gotten the anesthetic in Gigantomachia. What's it going to do? Or is it going to do anything? There's a lot of things going down in the last episode leading into this one, and I'm really excited because I have ideas of what's going to happen, and they're things that I've wanted to see animated for a long time. And so I'm like hyped through the roof right now. I was on holiday with family this entire weekend, and so I couldn't watch it yesterday when it came out, and I'm recording this Sunday after it's come out, and I was just on the way home going, I'm going to sit down and watch this episode. So I've been so excited, and seeing like Horikoshi releases some sketches on Twitter, I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, so I don't know what else to say except that I'm really, really excited to see what we're going to get and how they're going to animate it. I'm like, Bones, do me a solid and get this, because I can only imagine how the anime only people are feeling right now. Do me a solid. Let's go. I'm ready. I think I'm ready. I say that I'm ready. So we're going to start My Hero Academia season 6, episode 9. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And let's do this. Oh. Man. Oh, Bakugo. Character development. Hi. I had to go back. I honestly went back and reread the chapters, and I haven't done that so far this season, but as soon as I was done recording the reaction, I stopped. I pulled up Viz. I have a subscription with them, and I went to chapter 282. This episode runs 4 chapters. It's 282 through 285. And they're very faithful to those chapters. There's not really... It would seem like there's a lot that goes down in 4 chapters of a manga in one episode, but honestly, at this point, a lot of the episode, I mean, it was beat for beat, exactly adapted, exactly beat for beat from the manga into this anime, even down to like placement of certain parts of this episode. And there's not really much censored. It's just Horikoshi gets real heavy with like the line work, and I'm going to show you guys some images up here just for comparison so you can see. But Horikoshi gets really into some like dark, gritty line work in this part of the manga that I really like. I really like where Horikoshi's style goes. I really hope that Bones kind of reflects on it, but I don't know if they are, if we get later on without spoiling anything. But it was beat for beat exactly like it. Yep. And I was like, okay. A lot of the shots in the chapters are action shots, which take up a lot of pages. And there's beautiful double spreads. If you get a chance to go read chapters 282 through 285, which is that encompasses KATSUKI BAKUGO Rising, then I highly recommend it, because the animation, the artwork is mwah, chef's kiss from Horikoshi. It's so good. But God, this episode... Bakugo finally admitting, a lot about himself, a lot about what he thinks about Deku, a lot about their relationship and about his atonement and how he's asking for forgiveness. And I do think that there is a big difference between Bakugo and Endeavor. And All Might kind of brings up how they are similar in that they're finding their own path. But I believe that atonement that Bakugo is wanting is a much different atonement than Endeavor. And it is not quite as extreme as Endeavor's, right? But this episode, going through it, one thing I do want to note is that in the actual manga, and I guess I'm going to pull this panel up here for comparison, because I'm sure a lot of people were like, well, how did he just instantly like lob it off when he like lobbed off the leg, but it didn't get in his bloodstream? In the manga, his leg is pretty, not only severed, but it's all like messed up and twisted already. And so the bullet hitting that leg, it's sheer luck that the bullet hit the leg that was kind of already messed up and mangled. And so I feel like the circulation was already cut off of that leg. So Aizawa just hacking it off makes sense, right? And honestly, the manga doesn't really show him hacking off the leg. So the anime gave us a little bit of extra information there, right? A little extra shot there, right? I do love that. What does he think of? What does he think of when he's about to cut his leg off? He thinks of Ryuko buying him time, and he thinks of Eri. And he's like, I won't hesitate. He's like, because I've got to live, because I got to take care of Eri. I got to watch that little girl. And if you're wondering who the person that is in the shot with her is, I guess we'll save that for the spoiler corner. You should be able to know who that is in the shot with her, but that's a spoiler corner thing. Everybody when the manga chapter came up, they're like, oh, we know who it is, but I'll save it for spoiler corner just in case. I don't know if it's a spoiler or not to say who it is. But yeah, him just hacking off that leg. And of course, Deku is like, my sensei, what the hell? And Deku kind of goes crazy at this point. And it's very jarring to see Deku, whose voice actor is so innocent and sweet throughout 90% of this series, just absolutely lose it. And honestly, this is the first time that Deku, like his classmates have been threatened, right? And he kind of lost it with Bakugo getting kidnapped before, back in season 3. And then obviously with Eri. But this is the first time that his mentors, with the exception of All Might, have really been threatened. And the fact that Shigaraki can pose such a big threat to Aizawa and Gran Torino, who are like his main mentors outside of All Might, and I guess Endeavor too, is significant. So it makes sense why Deku's kind of like going off the handle. But damn, Shigaraki, and I like that Shigaraki just looks bored throughout most of this, that he's just like, even so, for an instant, you stopped looking. Your focus wavered, and that was enough to let me use my quirks. Right, to let me use my quirks to blast you all off of me and to go towards you. But Deku going after him. And honestly, this part here where he like takes his hand and grabs him and grabs his face and like runs his hands. Like, I'll show you all the image in the manga. It's just about as grisly in the anime as it is in the manga. Like him just like running his hands into his skin. Oh my god, it's disgusting. Also want to make note, they kind of say it in the anime, but the manga makes it even more clear that Shigaraki, he still kind of has this like kid mindset where he's treating this all like a game. In the manga, he's like, I'm about to clear this stupid game. Like, all of these other villains that are speaking on Shigaraki's behalf, and for All For One, they're spouting about how he's like this second coming villain, and he's going to like erase hero society and completely like reforge, and the Doctor's like going on this big monologue about how Shigaraki's like bringing the end times, and it's gonna be this big focus for change. Shigaraki's just viewing this as a game. He doesn't view this as anything. He doesn't, and that's kind of a big flaw on his part, is that he doesn't see the lives that he's destroying as being significant. He's like, I just need to get you out of the way so I can go on and do my job and have my way. And it's like he doesn't value any of their lives. And that checks out for Shigaraki's character, because Shigaraki's character's never had a life have value to him, because no one's considered his life to have value outside of his immediate family. So yeah, it's so disturbing to think that he just thinks that this entire bloodbath is just like a level of a video game he has to get through. Which contrasts beautifully with Deku, who is like, no, this is horribly serious. Like, what are you doing? Sort of situation, right? But yeah, so we get confirmation as well that, guess what? It's and like his whole face, like Shigaraki's face is just completely messed up, but then Shoto comes in. I was 90% sure it was Shoto that was the one following them, but I couldn't remember because I hadn't read the chapter. Want to make note, the anime did not do Shoto justice. I'm going to show you all the image from the manga. This is right when he pops in. He's like, Sensei! Like, one, Shoto's like, oh my god, Aizawa, but look at how Bishonen he is. Look at how beautiful he is. Horikoshi loves to make Shoto look like the biggest protagonist of the series, right? Even though he's like he's like a healer at this point. He's first aid. But yeah, they just love to make Shoto like just look as gorgeous as possible. His hair's all floofy. The anime has not figured out how to do Shoto's hair. They just haven't. They have not spent the appropriate amount of time on Shoto's hair. It's fine. I'm not complaining. It's just humorous because Horikoshi like makes that fluffy, luscious locks look the best that they can. But as you can see in this picture, Deku is just feral. He's just so mad. And when he's like looking at Aizawa, he's like, Mr. Aizawa, Mr. Aizawa. And Aizawa's just like covered in blood all over his face. It's awful. They did a really good job, though, of adapting. Bones has really enjoyed animating Shigaraki. They've been like, we're going to make him look the buffest and the best that we can. And there is no stopping us, sirs and madams. So yeah, they just make Shigaraki look great. And that line, all that's waiting for you is ruin. They spent time on his hair. They made Shigaraki's hair look floofy and gorgeous. You ain't going to take the time for Shoto? I see how it is. I guess we're playing favorites. But damn, this episode. So then we have to cut away, and we do cut away in the manga at the same time. And they make a wonderfully big deal about establishing all of the cities that are being threatened by Gigantomachia. There's like 20 of them that are being threatened. That he's just massacring. He's just bulldozing through the cities one by one to get to Shigaraki. And I wondered in the manga if it was less censored than it was in the anime. I'm like, do they really show all the destruction in the anime or in the manga versus the anime? There's a shot right when Gigantomachia is about to enter the city. There's like a shot of the city, just like it's all quiet. And the anime does fine with it, but it doesn't quite do it justice. There is a shot in the manga. It's basically the same shot as what we see with Gigantomachia when he's about to like come into the city and the city's very still and quiet. In the manga, you don't really get like the bus scene and everything. It feels more eerie and calm, and like the calm before the storm, before that panel. So, but it's adapted exactly like it should be. So what can we do, right? But yeah, and then we get the poor kids from UA being like, did we do the right thing? Did the heroes do the right thing? Because it seems like at this point we weren't prepared as we should have been. And I'm sure that Hawks is thinking like, what the hell? You know, I'm sure Hawks has regrets right now because he couldn't get the job done exactly like he wanted to. Tokiyami looks freaked out this whole episode. He just is sitting there with this big wide, he looks like an angry bird. He's just sitting there with his wide eyes being like, oh my god, just trying to protect Hawks and saving some of the doctors. He's freaked out. And Momo's like, we did everything we could. And we even got the anesthetics to him. So why is it not taking effect? I mean, and the short answer that I would deduce at this point is that Gigantomachia is just huge. He's just huge. A little tiny bit of anesthetic is going to take a while to get through his system. It could be that it eventually kicks in, but we've not got there yet, right? And I just love he has these bugles on his fingers, these claws just going through and just wrecking everything. Feel so bad. And poor Momo, she's just like, what do I do, right? What do I do now? I love that contrast of her. Shouldn't the anesthetics have taken effect by now? Minetta's got some really great animation on him at this point where he's asking if their actions were correct. I really want just like a little screenshot of Minetta in that animation because it's actually kind of cute. But yeah, Gigantomachia is going towards Shigaraki and we see, I'm sorry, but the anime, oh my god, Bones just decided. Bones sat down for season 6 and they were like, you know what? Horikoshi does a really good job of drawing Shigaraki and Dabi, but what if we paid extra special attention to them? Because yeah, I looked at the panel, the scene where Dabi's like on top of Gigantomachia having the time of his life, and then Skeptic is just like, eh. And in the manga, it doesn't look nearly as good as the anime. I'm like, what the fudge? So I do like that you have the reactions of Compress. You don't get anything because he's wearing a mask. You can't see his emotions. Toga is just detached. Ever since Twice has died, Toga's like, I'm not here. I'm just disassociating with everything. I'm here because Gigantomachia grabbed me and I didn't want to run away. Whatevs. Spinner looks like he's thinking like, okay, what do we do now? What do we do once we get there? Dabi's like having a blast. Dabi is having the time of his life. The death and destruction, he's reveling in it. He's just soaking it all in. And Skeptic's like, I just want off the ride. Please. Like, I love how Horikoshi does their emotions for all of that. And then the doctor just monologues. They just call him Doctor at this point in the anime. And President Mike's like, shut up. But he doesn't, right? And Huckleberry is like leaving himself a spot on the carpet just like lay down. I like that President Mike has like ditched the glasses and he's just staring at the doctor with such contempt. He's like, what the hell? And so they establish that he's basically been awakened. But I like that that kind of comes back to bite them later when we find out that Shigaraki is only 75%. And Shigaraki realizes he's only 75% and he's at his limit. I like it. But yeah, Gigantomachia is the basis for all Nomus, surprising no one. Horikoshi really likes drawing heroes in Native American, like, dress. I've noticed that that's been with several of his characters. It's curious. And then Shigaraki is just treating us all like a game. And I hate that Deku, like, I'm gonna get shot at poor Deku's face. Like, Deku is so distraught. Because there's a part of Deku that's like, he's like, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to kill everyone? Please stop. And Shigaraki just, it's two polar opposite characters. This whole episode is filled with parallels between Deku and Shigaraki. And you have Shigaraki and All for One and One for All and Deku, and just the parallels and contrasts of these two characters, because Deku is all about saving people and Shigaraki wants to kill all of them. So there's so much that this episode does in terms of comparing and contrasting these characters. I do love real quick that Endeavor, even Bones makes Endeavor look younger in this too, but Endeavor like gets the ice next to him. I like that Shoto's like, he treats this very much as this is business right now. Like, you're not just my dad. And I love Endeavor's like, Shoto! Like he normally yells. He's like, it took me long to get here because I was helping Ryuku and the others. Cool your body and it should help you catch your breath. Like, Shoto's treating this very much like business. You're not my dad. You're Endeavor. Let's treat it like that. Let's go. Endeavor's like, fine. And Bakugo is just like losing his shit because he's like, he knows how Deku is and knows that this is not good. He knows that Deku is going to keep hurting himself at the sake of trying to stop Shigaraki. I like that they're all like, okay, let's, and Manuel's like, okay, elevate the leg, let's get the leg up for Aizawa, and let's wrap it up. And I also like the realistic point of this episode where Manuel's like, how do we get this bandage around his neck to do anything? Like, that would be a real struggle, right? To try to make a tourniquet in that moment and be like, what do we even do? And Rocklock, when he looks over, and he's like, Deku. And he just, that grimace, because Deku, to be fair, I'll show you guys the image where he tells Deku to run. And Deku's like, no way, I'm not doing it. Like, that is a very good adaptation in the anime from, again, you can see kind of in the line work in this panel, you can see the line work where Horikoshi's getting into more like dark, gritty shadings. He's making Deku's hair look like the black with the white lines on it. It looks really good. I like it a lot. I like what he's done in that moment there. In the manga, Shigaraki just has that little panel that says, "Welp, time to die." Again, the manga portrays Shigaraki a little bit more childish than the anime does. The anime portrays Shigaraki a bit more like cunning or like kind of like snarky, whereas the manga portrays him still like a kid, right? But does he say the same thing? He says, "Now die." Yeah, he just says die. I like, "Welp, time to die." I like that. That's pretty funny. And at that moment, Deku realizes, oh, he's at his limit. And as he's crying, right? As Deku's crying, he realizes that Shigaraki's at his limit. He's just, again, the parallels between Shigaraki and Deku, they're both characters who are vessels for this amazing power, but the vessels aren't at 100%. They're not strong enough to carry the power that's being given to them. It's like, yup. And so it's great. And that point where Shigaraki realizes what's today's date. And he's like, his body's breaking. And Deku's like just sizzling, right? And just crying. I like that as he's sizzling, it's just constant tears. Just constant tears from Deku. He's like a damn fountain. And Bakugo realizes what's going to happen. He's like, this is not good. And then I actually almost forgot that Deku unlocked float in this episode. For a second I was like, oh wait, he unlocked float. There we go. And it was like in Rainbow too. To be fair, the anime did not build it up at all. It just happens and you're like, oh shit, the float. We're here, the 7th users. Yes, I love this, Rainbow. My girl Nana. But yeah, the anime just makes it happen. And you're like, wait, did I miss something? Yeah, I almost forgot this was the episode that he unlocks float. Yep, the 7th user. I love that. One for all, 7th. It's very, very nice. I like that everybody's just like, wait, how are we floating? How is this happening? But Gran Torino, I love that he just like slowly, he's like, this quirk. I'm like, ah! Where he's like, this is Shimura's. And he sees like her floating beside him. And he's just like, yeah, look at those eyes narrow. I'm like watching this with y'all. Look at these eyes narrow. He had a thing for Nana. You'll not convince me otherwise. Nope. OTP. Nana Shimura and Gran Torino. They are an OTP for sure. But Bakugo's like, I'm just going to fight you in the air. Like, if you can't touch the ground, you can't touch the ground and disintegrate everything if I fight you in the air here. And you can tell that was the end of a chapter, which is fun. But I do love Shoto, like, holding Gran Torino. It's really cute. And I like that Endeavor's like, treat the injured. And Shoto's like, yeah, Dad, kind of getting on that. Right. Know what I'm supposed to do. I don't blame Endeavor for feeling kind of useless in this moment because he's the #1 hero and he's not doing much to help in this battle. It's mostly Deku, but he's wrecking his body to do so. And Bakugo is just having an existential moment where he's like, wait, Deku, you're the one who needs to get the furthest away from him. Yeah, because he's like, Eraser's not working, you'll get your quirk stolen. And Bakugo says, then who else is there who can stop Shigaraki in the sky? And Bakugo's like, you gonna pull that card? I love Bakugo's face, like, are you freaking kidding me right now? And then he gets the idea with Endeavor that he's like, okay. And then, oh God, Shigaraki's saying, if you like the sky so much, I'll send you to heaven after I steal one for all. It's like, that's really cheesy. It's like a dad joke. Along with the old guys, and Deku's like, don't hurt anybody else. I love that he like pulls Shigaraki towards him, and it's almost like a now kiss moment, but it's like the worst time, and you really don't want that to happen. But Bakugo just being like, I love this crisis that Bakugo's having. And then we get the flashback with Deku. Where he's like, he's going to keep fighting until he's destroyed himself and he doesn't care. I love this little adaptation from the manga because it's so cute. And Bakugo's little broccoli head. I remember when the manga came out, everybody was calling him like broccoli haired Deku because he had the big, it was all burnt. I like that the anime gave it a burnt effect. It wasn't just green and puffy. It actually has a charred look to it because it was Bakugo treating it like a real battle and making him explode. And I also love that Ochako gets onto Bakugo. She's like, you're being mean. What are you doing? If you ship Bakugo and Ochako. It's a prime moment. A prime shippable moment there, right? It's also nice to hear All Might again and hearing his voice actor and seeing Tsuyu fight Bakugo. It's really cute. I also like that Bakugo... Tsuyu is perfect to fight Bakugo because I feel like Bakugo would not want to hurt Tsuyu, so he'd just be like... He's just like so tsundere. He's like, get away from me. And Tsuyu'd be like, I'm after you, Bakugo. It would be really funny. I like it. And Sero being there too. But yeah, them teaching him how to use Black Whip and then teaching him how to use basically float before he even activates float. But honestly, the best part about this episode is the conversation between Bakugo and All Might. Because it's so good. The fact that Bakugo has known this whole time about Deku's powers and him and All Might kind of are confidants to each other. Where All Might's like, well, this will help Deku like prevent any like unconscious activation of his powers. Also, the Gang Orca product placement's great. But Bakugo saying, hey, you're not being very truthful in this situation, All Might. He's like, Deku, I don't know if they say in this episode or not, but there's a line in the manga where Bakugo's like, Deku idolizes you, so he'll believe in everything you say. And he's like, you're not being truthful. You're not telling him everything that you know. And he's like, this can only keep going. He's like, Black Whip, we can somewhat explain, but the more quirks he unlocks, the more people are going to start piecing together. Bakugo's like, I'm like 15 years old, And I figured it out. He's like, there's going to be people figure out that Deku is gaining these quirks and it's not normal. And he's like, they're going to start figuring out something's up. And then what are you going to do? How are you going to explain this? They're going to start comparing him to All for One. How are we going to do that? What's going to happen there? He's like, you can't hide this. And then All Might's like, no, we got this under control. We're just going to show Black Whip and that's it. And it'll be fine. We'll keep everything under control. It's all good. He's like, you understood that night. The reality of being able to share great power with others is that you have to think carefully about how that could put others at risk. Yeah, and I love that Bakugo, that line, it's not only evil people who want power. Yeah, we go back to the Hero Commission. You go back to them like the idea of, no good deed goes unpunished. The idea of good intentions, that a group like the Hero Commission would definitely want to use Deku without, realizing the ramifications of that for Deku himself. And would probably take advantage of Deku's personality and the fact that he's very self-sacrificing. And I love that Bakugo in this episode, he's so reflective. He's so stoic and kind of quiet, which is rare for Bakugo, especially in the earlier seasons. And him just silently thinking about it and saying, look, he's like, Deku trusts, yeah, there we go. Deku trusts you completely, but the description of the fourth user isn't complete. Now, I'll be honest, I have forgotten a lot of the users and I've not gone back and reread. So I know Black Whip, Nana was the 7th. All Might was 8th. Deku was 9th. And then I want to say the one before Nana was maybe a boy. And then Banjo was the 5th one, right? And then there was one before, maybe, that was the 4th. The 4th one before. I can't remember the 4th one before Banjo was the boy or was a different one. And then there's the first user, second user, third user. I think the boy was the 4th one, but I could be wrong. He could have been the 6th. I can't remember. I can't recall, but they said the 4th user description wasn't complete. And the 5th and 6th and 7th had details of their deaths recorded. Why was that? And All Might would tell him. I'll be honest, there's no spoilers for this section. I've honestly forgotten about the 4th user. I may go and look them back up during the spoiler corner. I may go look them back up and see if we have anything on them. And I love that All Might's All Might just kind of sits there with his hands like this. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know anything yet. I don't know yet. I'm not sure what to say. He's like, I don't want to say something unless I'm certain about it. He's like, I can't assert something I don't know. And Bakugo's like, well, I know that Deku is self-sacrificing and I like that All Might's like, yeah, I am just going to have to care for Deku the best I can. He's like, I'm concerned for him. You're concerned for him too, right? And Bakugo's like, I like that Bakugo is kind of tsundere, but not really. And he says, look, at the root of it, Deku doesn't think of himself. He's very self-sacrificing. He would harm himself 1,000,000 times before anyone else would get hurt. And we see the thing where Deku's running through the stream to reach out his hand to Bakugo as a kid. And the ED just had to do that. The ED just had to have kid Deku reaching out to kid Bakugo and then adult Bakugo taking the hand. How dare you? How dare you, show? And then Bakugo's like, it always felt weird to me and it made me want to stay away from him. He's like, I don't understand how someone could be so helpful and self-sacrificing. He's like, I'm not like that. So that unknown he was scared of. He's like, but I couldn't understand my own weakness. So I put those thoughts aside and bullied him. And so Bakugo being self-aware of why he bullied him, of what the reason was, and knowing it was wrong, and wanting to make it up to him in his own tsundere little way. And I like that All Might kind of realizes that. Obviously, it's a much different atonement than Endeavor's, right? Endeavor's atonement has to do with his family and his actions with them. And there is some connection there because Bakugo's actions did affect Deku, much like Endeavor's actions affected his family, but it's on a different scale, right? It's on a much different scale. But I still think he's like, I do like All Might saying, I couldn't look back on the past until I ended up being like at death's door. And Bakugo's like, I really don't want Deku to have to get to that point where he has to realize what was wrong when he's about to die. Really don't want that. But yeah, all of the actions though, all of these actions where Deku is like using all the different smashes on his arm and everything, like they're brutal in the manga. They look like this, but they're really hard to watch in all honesty. And then chapter 285 starts with the whole thing about his arms at the doctor's and that he won't be able to use his arms if he keeps going. But he keeps on going. And so I like this back-to-back where Shigaraki tries to use an attack. He tries, like, you all keep... I love that the idea, he's like, you keep getting in the way of me realizing my dreams. And Deku's like, I have to use this power to stop you. And the anime does a really good job of portraying Deku as being quite feral. But the manga makes Deku look really insane at this point in the series. Like, he looks quite frightful in that chapter when he's like... Because the idea is that other than this imperfect body, one for all is to destroy all for one. And like that, it's so creepy. And then we have them against each other. And the idea of Deku just being this feral and Bakugo staring up at him like, what the hell? Like, what do I do? How do I stop Deku? Because at this rate, he's going to lose. He's going to keep using his legs to recoil, and he's not going to be able to stop somebody with regeneration powers. And so he gets the idea to like launch Endeavor up in the air using Shoto, which is great. Again, I love this idea that he like goes over, he's like, shut up and grab a hold of me. I imagine that there is not one Bakugo Shoto shipper that took that out of context. I'm sure there's none that have done that. It's probably okay. But Bakugo's smart, and he has a plan, and they put it into action, and Rocklock's like, well, damn it, these kids, why can't we, the adults, do things? And he's like, but I've already acknowledged them as heroes, so here we go. And then, yeah, Bakugo's like, what can we do? He's like, even if one for all is a cursed power. I love this. He's like, even if that's the case, one for all is also, even if it's cursed, it's also a representation of hope, right? And then he looks up and sees Deku, and Deku's like, my name is not going to mean something that's hopeless. It's going to mean, the anime says my Deku means you can do it. The manga says I'm the Deku who always does his best. And he sees him like, the anime adaptation's pretty good between it. It really is. Like showing just how crazed Deku is. In the manga, it looks pretty bad too. But Bakugo, I love that he just looks up like, damn it, Deku, what do we do? And then, yeah, Endeavor like burning Shigaraki alive. It's crazy, but that's when All for One is like, okay, let me in. And I love that expression of horror that's on Shoto and Bakugo's faces. Like, are you kidding me? And Endeavor gets knocked back. And just this charred body is All for One. Oh, why aren't you dead? And then he's like, little brother. And then he shoots it out towards Deku. Just like in the manga. It's the same way. And then Baku says, I love the little sparks! In the manga showed like a little trail of sparks. And here it's just like a little rainbow sparkles. Mm-hmm. And Bakugo's like, I didn't think. In that instant, and I love that they use a television set. The use of the television set is great because there's a cover page. I think I've showed it earlier on in the series, but there's a cover page where it is showing, it's a cover page showing Deku and Shigaraki sitting next to one another holding TV sets. And the one TV set has All for One in it, and the other one has All Might. It's really cool. So when the TV, like, when it shows Shigaraki giving his body over to All for One, it's like bloop, and it just like blips out the screen. And then here with Bakugo, in the manga, it's a montage of images, and here they use the TV going back to season 1, saying, I didn't think. I just acted on my own. And that little thing where he's like, it gets pierced, my body just moved on its own, and he goes to grab Deku's hand. Katsuki Bakugo rising. Oh my gosh. Oh, man. So, yeah. I'm going to look up some characters here and look up the users for All for One. And I do want to talk about a few things in the spoiler corner. Not too much, but a few things in the spoiler corner. So there's that. But yeah, oh man, I'm really excited to hear what the anime onlys think of this episode, because it's a lot. It's great character development for Bakugo. Him coming all this way and finally detailing like his thoughts, what he thinks about Deku, what he thinks about like how he views his bullying, and then what he's been trying to like atone for himself and to like help Deku in his own tsundere way. It's a lot. But yeah, I do have a few spoilers I want to talk about, but I am curious to know your thoughts down below. So yeah, that's KATSUKI BAKUGO Rising. Can't imagine what's going to happen now. Deku was pretty feral last episode. I'm sure he'll be fine. I'm sure he'll be fine next episode. This will not be something traumatic that will affect him in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful week. If you're sticking around for the spoiler corner, it'll be in just a second. But if not, I hope you have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more My Hero Academia. So, God. You know, I'd say that this is probably the most traumatic stuff we'll see with Bakugo, but if you're reading the manga now, Bakugo, Horikoshi just loves to put him through pain, like straight up pain. There's like, it's almost like I could see the Baku-Deku shippers being like, well, this is why, because Bakugo and him are shipped together. So what else could put you through the most pain than seeing your loved one be hurt? And it's like, well, that's true. So I guess that's how it is. But yeah, damn. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I did not have a whole lot of spoiler corner things. The one thing I want to talk about is at the very beginning of the episode, they left out Mirko's belt buckle. I guess that would have gave him away, possibly, but I didn't know if it was a spoiler to say that it was Mirko there with Eri at the beginning. You don't see his face, so I didn't know if I should mention it or not, but it's Lemillion. It is, oh god, I can't think of his name now. It's Lemillion. It's, God, Mirio. Him there, because he's gaining his powers back from Eri. So that's going to be fun when we get to that. But that was a spoiler. The fourth user is the one with danger sense. Or no, right? Wait, no. Where is it? The fourth user of the quirk. Yeah, Shinomori. He has danger sense, which allows him to react to dangerous situations, right? And so, but we don't know much about his death, and I can't remember. The little boy is the one in between Banjo and Shimura, right? Yes, that is very true. So I couldn't remember what the fourth user one, but that's the one with danger sense, which we don't know a lot about at this point. Which is fine, but I couldn't remember how he died, and I'm guessing that's something we find out later. I can't recall, which is... I don't want to read the manga because I want to see if we find out this season with it, but I do know he's danger sense, so he died a weird way, and I can't remember exactly why. But I guess it would make sense. Like, I'm trying to remember why All Might didn't want to talk about the fourth user, but I'm assuming we'll cut to that in the manga, in the anime at some point. Yeah, Dabi having the time of his life, man. We're one episode closer to Dabi's dance. I keep on hyping it up. I keep being ready for it. But y'all, I am going to be so freaking excited when we get to that point. I cannot tell you. And I did look at the preview before starting this reaction. And the preview, it's not going to happen next episode. I think it's going to happen 11 or 12. It's going to be one of those two, just in time for Christmas. My Christmas gift is going to be Dabi's dance. Oh my god, My Hero Academia Christmas gift is going to be being able to see Dabi's dance. I'm so freaking excited. Because yeah, the next episode is going to be when we have All for One and One for All like in each other's heads. And what's really cool about what's to come, I feel like, and I'm not reading ahead, I kind of stopped at chapter 285, but based on the preview, from what I remember, what is cool is we will get to see Deku, who's been like a feral animal for most of this episode, and in the next one for sure, when Bakugo gets hurt, and then come to realize, oh, Shigaraki is being somewhat controlled by All for One. I need to save him, which is kind of different than how he's treated Shigaraki these last episode and a half. So it's going to be interesting to see how the anime translates that from the manga, because it definitely is like a little bit of a shift, right? A little shift with Deku's mindset. But I was really happy with this adaptation. I'll be honest, the adaptation, I feel like the manga like tugged at my heartstrings when it first came out, and this was a great adaptation. Little kid Deku reaching the hand out. Oh, so freaking cute. But I'll be honest, the next time Bakugo gets hurt is probably my more favorite moment, because it's him like just being like, no, Deku, I'm going to stop this guy for you. And but yeah, this is a really, really good episode. Not a lot of other spoilers other than the fact that the users, the parallels between Shigaraki and Deku, and the idea that the users of All for One and One for All are kind of like settling their feud using Deku and Shigaraki is kind of like interesting, and I'm going to be curious to see down the road in the manga how it plays out even more. But yeah, just this episode was really well adapted. After reading the manga chapters, I was like, no, the anime actually did a really good job. I'm just hoping that we get some really good animation. I mean, for Deku and Shigaraki, yes, we need some good animation for their fight, but mainly Dabi's dance. Make that blue fire look good. I'm just waiting, because yeah, Endeavor, going through this episode, Endeavor's like at his limit. He's been overworked a lot in this episode, and Shoto just showed up, but Endeavor has been like a massive overhaul trying to face Shigaraki. And the moment Dabi comes up to be like, oh, hey bitches, it's like, oh my God, having the time of his life. So yeah, no, this episode was great. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a great adaptation. I'm very curious to hear what the anime only people think about this development with Bakugo, but I'm really, really excited for next week. Very much so. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. I hope you enjoyed this reaction and discussion, and I hope you guys stay safe, take care, and yes, I'll be back next week with more My Hero Academia.